G'day, I'm Brett, and welcome to Self-Reliance Australia. When we first made the move towards being more self-reliant, there's three things we wanted to achieve, and that was being self-reliant for water, food, and power. So we're 100% there with water, which is great, and we're really happy that we do that because we get to have clean, filtered water. It's straight from the sky. We don't have a lot of farms around us either, so we don't get a lot of pesticides or spray being put around on the crops, so that makes it even better. So we're not there with food yet, we're definitely not there with power, but because we're where we live, we are surrounded by bush and also really thick forest. So when the storms come through, heavy rains come through with the wind, quite often trees will come down in quite remote areas, which is hard for the electricity crews to get out and repair. So we can be without power quite often. Now, at the time of making this video, which was probably about 12 months ago now, early that year, we had lost power probably 6 or 7 times at the start of the year. And look, that probably isn't dissimilar to this year either. So having a backup power supply just becomes really essential. So this is a short video about the generator that we bought, the reasons why we bought it, and how it works and how it's operating for us, and if it's good, bad, or indifferent. So let's go have a look. So this is the new generator, because it's a 3 kilowatt unit. This is a fairly new addition actually, because at the start of the year, so where are we now, in August 2020, and look, at the start of the year we probably lost power for about 6 or 7 times in the space of a couple of weeks in January, February, just with some storms that were going through, because we are a little bit regional. And it does take a little bit longer for the power to get restored down here. So when you're off grid as far as the water supply goes, what that means is that if you lose power, you lose your water pump from your tanks, and that then equates to no water for your toilets and no water for showers, nothing to wash your hands with. Cooking and fridge, yep, sure, that sort of stuff can sort of last and wait, but we do have a gas cooker that we can, like a camping kitchen that we can use. But when it comes to the hygiene side, it's really important. So this is a fairly new addition, and I'm now about to top it up with some fuel, because overnight we've had a bit of a storm and there's been a couple of trees down around the place, so we have lost power. Power's been out for about 6 hours or so now, so it's now time to test this out and see if it's going to kick over. Well, all the water pumps, and it should run the water pump and fridge, which is what it was actually bought to do, which is why I've got a slightly bigger one than the standard sort of popular portable ones that are out in the markets at the moment. So this is a generator that we bought. It's a Briggs & Stratton. It's a 3 kilowatt system. Look, I should say up front, this is not a paid endorsement. It's not a sponsorship thing. It's not an ad. It's just the system that I bought. And I bought it because on the recommendation of a good mate. He's a fisherman, and he spends a lot of his life on a boat, obviously fishing, and he has one of these units sitting on the roof of his boat, and he said it never missed a beat. He had it for quite a few years. He said it ran quietly, super reliable. And so look, that was good enough for me. So there's a very popular brand. Hondas in Australia are a very popular generator, exceptionally good generator too, by the way. But they are fairly expensive. That they price themselves as a quality premium generator. And look, for the similar price of a 2.2 kilowatt, I could get a 3 kilowatt. Now, one of the reasons I went for something bigger, because it's not just about the things that you want to power, it's also about the load that it takes to start something up. So the reason I bought this one was to keep our water pump going, because as I said earlier, being off grid with water, and when electricity goes out, our water pump goes out. So the load where the water pump kicks in, the power to start that water pump up, when it then shuts down, starts up, shuts down, is quite significant, and this does the job really well. So I've been really happy with it. It's got 2 outlets on it, as you can see there. It's easy to start, and it's fairly economical as well, so it doesn't use a lot of power, or sorry, a lot of fuel as it's going through. So all in all, I've been very happy with this generator. So that's it going. As I use my car, you see the cord I got running out, so I've dropped the door down a little bit to keep the rain off of it. We'll open it up and let the exhaust fumes go out, so it's well ventilated. I really probably should be outside, but I'm not super keen on getting it covered in rain weather at the moment, so I'm sure water and electricity don't mix too well. So it seems to be doing the job quite well. The water pump kicked in straight away, so it's doing this job nicely. So when I first started using it, the main use was really for the water pump, so we could obviously have the toilets flushing and showers running and taps so we can wash our hands and that type of thing, but also the fridge, so that was the main two things. Since then, a little thing called the COVID pandemic has kicked in as well, so I've been working from home now for a good part of 12 months, nearly 2 years, I guess. And while at the time, if you had suggested to me that I was getting a generator to keep my internet going, I would have laughed. But now it's become an essential part of life. So one of the things that is really good about this generator, that while the pump for the water doesn't kick in and out, well, it does kick in and out, but it's not running all the time, so it's not drawing a lot of power. It runs the fridge, it runs power to the internet, so the internet keeps running, and also runs enough power to also charge computers and things like that. So it has allowed me to continue working from home even when power is out. And as I said at the very start, I think the longest we've been out without power is about 36 hours. So that's a significant length of time if I couldn't work. The generator also allows us to run the fan off our wood heater. So that allows us to get heat into the house when our normal heating system can't work because we're without power. And look, it just does a great job all round. So look, generally how we do use this is that I'll run it during the day. I'll start it up first thing in the morning when I get up, and then that keeps the fridge cold, it keeps the freezer, all the things in the freezer frozen. It runs the power, it runs the internet, even runs the TV, runs our computers throughout the day. You make sure the water's running as well, and then we can switch it off overnight. And the fact that the fridge is already cold and it's frozen, because it's normally cold down here when the storms come through, that stays cold, and then I just kick it in the next day, so it's working really well. So what you see here is actually where I store it. So it doesn't live down at the house, it lives up in the shed, because I do use it as a source of power up in the shed, because I don't have power up in the shed yet. So it just sits under the bench near all my power tools, and I'll just pull it out, put it near the open doorway there, and crank it over. It works really well. So there you go, that's the generator. Really happy with it, really glad we bought it, and look, we've used it a lot. So not only does it provide an alternate backup supply of power for the house, it also supplies power up in my shed too, because the shed is a fair way up the paddock, and to run a trench up and get power up there would be quite costly at this stage. So I'm actually using the generator up there to run power tools and lights when I need to as well. So it has a dual purpose. So it's definitely not just sitting there not being used when just because we don't have a blackout, for example. But what I'd also like to say is thank you very much for everyone that's come to the channel and watched the videos. Look, there's my shed video that you've probably watched already. Is just about to break the 1,000 views. So look, I just want to say a huge thank you for everyone for doing that. If you do enjoy this video and the other videos that are on the channel, please give us a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and ding the little bell so that way you get the notifications as well. But just want to say a huge thank you. Thanks for the support for the channel. It's very encouraging, and definitely lets me know that there's people out there who are watching and getting some value from the video. So thanks very much. Until next time, I'll see you then.